Have you ever found yourself wondering if, every little thing you do, every choice, maybe every act of kindness or even frustration truly leaves an invisible ripple on your future?
Mm-hmm.
What if simply listening with an open heart, or even, I don't know, giving something as small as a needle, could actually set you on a path to a truly dazzling afterlife?
It's a really fundamental question, isn't it? Something these ancient ethical systems, like the ones we're looking at today, they really grapple with it,
Hmm.
this intricate dance between our present actions and our future destinies.
Absolutely. So today we're taking a deep dive into a pretty remarkable collection of ancient narratives. It's called the Vimānavatthu.
Right.
Think of it as a kind of window into a finely tuned ethical system where cause and effect aren't just like philosophical ideas, but vivid, illustrated realities.
Yeah, they really spell it out. These stories, they're all about Vimāna,
Ah, Vimanas, yeah.
these spectacular celestial mansions, and the incredible journeys of beings who either earned them through their deeds or, and this is important too, in some really stark cases, tragically missed out.
Okay, so our mission today, essentially, is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from these ancient sources.
We'll be exploring how, well, remarkably specific deeds, sometimes surprisingly minor ones, can lead to extraordinary rewards in subsequent lives.
And conversely, right, we'll also see how negative actions can pave the way for some pretty dire consequences.
Exactly.
By the end of this deep dive, hopefully, you'll not only gain a much deeper understanding of the power of intention and action within this specific framework, but maybe even uncover some aha moments about the subtle ways you might be shaping your own path right here, right now.
Mm-hmm. So where should we start? There are some amazing stories in here.
Well, let's start with a tale that truly redefines what counts as a grand gesture. It kind of blew my mind a little.
Oh, which one's that?
Okay, let's unpack this. Our first story introduces us to a creature you wouldn't typically associate with spiritual enlightenment.
What?
A frog.
A frog, right. Okay.
Imagine it just living its life in the water, maybe near a pond or river, when it happens to be close enough to overhear the Buddha's teachings. It's not meditating, not making offerings, just listening, passively almost.
And what makes this narrative so compelling, and maybe a bit counterintuitive, is how swiftly and, well, profoundly the frog's destiny shifts.
Yeah.
In that precise moment of just hearing the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings, it's accidentally killed by a cowherd. Terrible timing, you'd think.
Awful timing. But this is where it gets truly fascinating, right? The text tells us that because of a momentary mental purity,
Chittapasadasa in Pali.
right, Tadapasasa, from just that brief exposure to the Dharma, the frog was reborn as a glorious deity, a devaputta, radiating immense power and splendor.
Incredible.
A frog. It just hammers home that it's not about being human or the scale of a deed, but maybe that fleeting yet powerful moment of pure intention or connection.
What's really profound here, I think, is how the narrative highlights the immense impact of even a brief, sincere connection to wisdom. That Satapasadasa isn't just like casual purity. It implies a mind that's clear, joyful, maybe even momentarily utterly receptive.
Even if just for a second.
Exactly. However short-lived that state was, it really underscores that within this framework, the internal qualitative state of mind can be incredibly potent. It might even outweigh external circumstances or, the species of the being involved.
That's such a powerful idea. The intensity of a single pure mental spark accelerating karmic outcomes so dramatically. Wow. It makes you reconsider the value of every thought, really. And it's not just about mental states, is it? We see this principle extend to physical acts, even tiny offerings, yielding grand rewards.
Oh, definitely. Like the story of the crab broth giver.
Yes. Tell us about that one.
Well, we're introduced to a deity living in this truly magnificent celestial mansion. The description is like lofty, 12 yojanas high, which is a huge distance,
Unimaginably big.
and boasting 700 storied houses. Just pure opulence.
Okay, so what do they do to earn that?
When asked by the Venerable Moggallana, who was, a chief disciple of the Buddha, known for his psychic powers,
Right.
this deity reveals that in a previous life, they offered a crab, or maybe crab broth. The term is kakaka.
A crab. Or soup. That's it.
That seems to be it. A simple, perhaps even humble offering. But it was this act, likely done with that same kind of pure intention we talked about, that led to such an extraordinary celestial dwelling.
It certainly makes you think about how we value our everyday acts of generosity, doesn't it? The scale of the gift seems almost beside the point compared to the result here.
Absolutely. And it gets even more specific. There's another deity who describes their own incredible reward for giving just a single needle.
A needle. Okay, now that's really small.
A suchiyu. But, and this is crucial, it wasn't given to just anyone. It was given to a monk described as Viraja Bhikkhu Vipassanam Anavilai.
Which means?
It means a monk who is pure, tranquil, untroubled, free from defilements.
Ah, okay. So the recipient matters. A lot.
Immensely. This story powerfully emphasizes that while the gift itself might be tiny, its fruit is huge when given with a pure heart and to a worthy recipient. The purity and spiritual attainment of the monk significantly amplify the karmic merit. It's like a resonance, between the giver's intention and the recipient's spiritual state.
That makes sense. It's not just the giving, but the whole context. We also hear from a deity named Sudhama, right, about offering dwellings.
Yes, Sudhama explains how offering simple dwellings, maybe just a basic shelter made of reeds, grass, or even cloth, the text says, Uchagara patagaranya kayodade.
So really basic shelters.
Yeah, led to their rebirth among the Sudhama deities in the celestial realm. Again, the intent and the act of providing shelter, regardless of its material grandeur, seems to be what counts.
Okay, so if we try to connect these dots, what's the bigger picture here? Well, if you look at them together, these stories repeatedly show that the quality of your intention, the spiritual standing of the recipient of your generosity, and the purity of your mind while doing the act are paramount. It's not really about the size or the cost of the gift itself.
Right.
And the texts also highlight the power of just pure devotion, like the deity who offered 8 lotus flowers to a stupa that's a sacred mound with relics of a past Buddha, Kassapa Buddha. Doing that act of reverence with a pure mind brought great reward.
And didn't some stories mention just seeing monks or Buddhas?
Yes, the Karanya stories reinforce that idea. A mind purified by simply seeing Buddhas or highly attained monks, even briefly, could lead to rebirth in the Tavatimsa heaven, which is a major celestial realm. It really lays out a powerful ethical foundation where mental states and deliberate actions are, well, meticulously accounted for.
Speaking of ethical foundations, let's dive into that a bit more. Our next story gets right into the bedrock of ethical living in this tradition, the 5 precepts. It's the tale of Chada, the umbrella bearer youth.
Chada.
We encounter him as this brilliant deity, shining like the sun in his celestial mansion. But he explains he actually resisted the Buddha's teachings at first.
Which makes his transformation even more striking, yeah. He eventually adopted the 5 precepts, which are really a fundamental ethical code in Buddhism.
Can you remind us what those are?
Sure. It's abstinence from killing living beings, pavada viveka, as the text says, covering various kinds. Then abstinence from taking what's not given, basically stealing. Abstinence from sexual misconduct, specifically with others' wives in this context. Abstinence from false speech or lying.
Right.
And finally, abstinence from intoxicating drinks, majja parivajaya susabha, things that cloud the mind. These aren't just don'ts. They're seen as a practical way to cultivate harmlessness and well-being for yourself and others.
Right. But here's where it gets, for me, really thought-provoking. Despite Chada diligently practicing these precepts, he was tragically killed by robbers who wanted his wealth.
A violent end.
So how does this karmic framework make sense of that? A good person, following the rules, meets this terrible end, yet gets this magnificent celestial reward. It seems contradictory on the surface.
That's a really crucial question, and the narrative offers a clear perspective. The karmic ledger, so to speak, operates with a kind of profound impartiality. Chada's adherence to the precepts, his virtuous actions, generated powerful positive karma. That's one account.
Okay.
His tragic death, while maybe a consequence of some previous negative karma ripening or perhaps just external circumstances, didn't cancel out the merit of his recent good deeds. It's almost like the system keeps separate books for different kinds of actions.
Separate books.
Allowing the purity of his ethical living to manifest in this glorious rebirth, independent of how his human life ended.
That makes you think about how we often judge things purely by the immediate worldly outcome, doesn't it? Success or failure. But these stories suggest a far deeper, more enduring measure.
Absolutely. And Chada himself reflects on this. He talks about the great fruit, the mahavipaka of even a small moment of self-restraint.
Kanoda sanyamasa.
Exactly. And adherence to the Dharma. He even expresses this poignant wish to be reborn as a human again, just so he can continue doing good deeds and observing precepts.
Oh.
And then he receives a teaching about how abandoning desire and clinging leads to nibbana, the ultimate liberation from suffering. So it points beyond even heavenly rebirths.
So this story really emphasizes the lasting power of ethical living, no matter what happens in the short term in this life.
It's a testament to the idea that virtue accumulates and shapes future existences. And we see this reinforced with another story, the second elephant deity.
The one riding the magnificent white elephant.
That's the one. Surrounded by celestial women, he was a lay follower, an upasako, who practiced the 5 precepts diligently. And importantly, he also gave generous offerings, food and drink with a pure mind. The text says, Pasanasito sakaka danad vipulea dasi, giving abundantly, respectfully, with a clear, calm mind.
So this brings it all together, the ethics and the generosity.
Precisely. It clearly shows this foundational ethical framework where living by these basic principles, combined with that spirit of generosity, is presented as a direct, practical path to auspicious rebirths. It's a very clear guide, really, for anyone seeking to cultivate a positive future according to this view.
It really highlights the synergy, then, between the internal state, the pure mind, and the external actions, ethical conduct, and giving.
Exactly. That combination seems key.
Okay, so far we've seen these incredibly uplifting stories, rewards for good deeds, even small ones, adherence to ethics, leading to heaven despite tragedy. But what happens when that karmic ledger shows a very different balance?
Right, because the Vimānavatthu doesn't shy away from the warnings. And the tale of Revati is probably the most stark example.
Revati, yeah, her story is sobering. She's described as supapatan
An evildoer.
and adunasil.
Not generous, stingy, essentially.
And the contrast is made incredibly clear. She's shown the glorious, sun-like mansion of her husband, Nandi, who was generous. But she's flat out denied entry. Why? Because of her own unwholesome deeds.
And her misdeeds weren't minor slips. The text says she deliberately deceived ascetics, Brahmins, and beggars with lies, musavadena vanchesi. She was deeply stingy, machari, and malicious, Rosako. She even admits to actively deceiving her own husband.
That's a pretty bad track record. And the consequence described is, well, it's horrific.
It really is. She's shown the Sasavaka hell pit. It's described as 100-fathom deep, Gambhiro Satapariso, a place filled with excrement and urine, Gutanya Kamutanya Kasuki. And she suffers dismemberment by crows, kakuagan sameka sagama katanti vifandamana, writhing while being eaten, and she's told she'll suffer there for thousands of years.
It's incredibly graphic. And what's maybe the most chilling part is her reaction after seeing all this.
Her futile remorse, yes. In that moment of absolute terror, facing this consequence, she expresses desperate regret. She wishes she could go back to the human world to do good deeds, charity, practice good conduct, build parks, bridges, wells, observe the special upasatha vows.
All the things she didn't do.
Exactly. All the things her husband likely did do.
Yeah. It's too late. Despite her pleas, her sudden understanding of what she should have done, she's thrown headfirst into that terrible hell. It's just harsh, uncompromising.
It really raises a difficult question, doesn't it? Does regret alone change one's karmic path once the deeds are done and the consequences are ripening?
It seems not in this story.
The narrative here suggests a chilling, almost mechanical precision. Actions have consequences. Once they're set in motion, they must be experienced. It's presented as a powerful, immediate warning about the reality and the sheer weight of our ethical choices. Intent and action are paramount, and regret, while maybe a sign of understanding, apparently can't just erase the karmic debt that's already due.
So what this really drives home is, well, it's a vivid illustration that actions have direct, tangible, and maybe often inescapable consequences, whether they're wholesome or unwholesome. It's a stark reminder of the profound responsibility that comes with every choice.
A very sobering counterpoint to the heavenly mansions, yes.
Okay, that was definitely a stark reminder of accountability. But beyond just rewards and punishments, these ancient texts also offer some profound wisdom on the fundamental realities of existence itself. Which brings us to Prince Sujata.
Ah, yes, the Kadavamana story, Prince Sujata's encounter with mortality.
Right. He meets a sage in the forest, and the sage basically tells him, you've got 5 months left to live.
Not exactly welcome news for a prince.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So naturally, Sujata, trying to escape this fate, asks the sage, is there any land, any special deed, any knowledge, any kind of effort that can grant immortality? Can I beat death?
And the sage's response is completely unequivocal. He says no one, not powerful kings, not the wealthiest people, not scholars, not even ascetics or arahants, those fully enlightened beings who've transcended suffering, No one can escape death.
Everyone gives up the body eventually.
Exactly. It's presented as a fundamental, universal, inescapable truth that binds all existence. No exceptions.
So hearing this profound, unvarnished truth, Sujata is moved. He seeks refuge. And what's really striking here, I think, is where the sage directs him.
Right. The sage doesn't say, take refuge in me.
He guides him to take refuge in the Buddha, the Sakyaputta, the Dharma, the teachings of the path, and the Sangha, the community of practitioners. But, and this is key, the Buddha had already passed away, already entered parinirvana. So what does that tell us? That you can take refuge in a teacher who isn't physically present anymore. What does that reveal about the Dharma itself?
It really highlights that the true refuge isn't necessarily in the physical form of a person, however great. It's in the timeless wisdom embodied by the Buddha, the path laid out in the Dharma, and the spiritual support and continuation offered by the Sangha. These elements are seen as enduring, transcending any individual's lifespan. The truth itself remains.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So Sujata then vows to adopt the 5 precepts we discussed earlier.
Yes, and his ultimate reward. We see him later as a deity in a magnificent chariot. Sujata explains that his devotion to the Buddha's relics, Sararhapadasi Sathuno, after the sage's instruction, led him to be reborn in Nandana heaven, a realm of great joy.
So again, it's that reverence, that commitment to the path and its symbols, even after the teacher's physical passing, that bears fruit. It's a powerful affirmation of the enduring spiritual value there.
It really speaks to the idea that the truth itself, the Dharma, is the ultimate guide.
Okay, and that brings us to our final story for today, the Mahārathavagga, which means the Great Chariot. This seems to illustrate the pinnacle of generosity and pure intention.
Yes, it does. We meet a deity in this incredibly ornate golden chariot, surrounded by celestial musicians and dancers, just peak heavenly splendor, and he explains his reward.
What was the deed this time? Must have been huge.
It was significant, yes. He saw Kassapa Buddha again, a Buddha from a previous era whose body was described as radiating like a golden image. And moved by this sight, with a pure, unattached mind, the text uses asagamanaso.
Unattached. What does that mean here?
It signifies generosity that's completely free from any expectation of return, not motivated by wanting something back, but purely by reverence and compassion, just selfless giving. And with that mind state, he offered pure, delicious food, drink, and robes in his own home to the Buddha.
So that unattached quality of mind, that asagamanaso, was key.
It seems to be. It profoundly amplifies the karmic fruit of the offering, according to the text.
And the text draws a direct lesson from this for us, doesn't it?
Yes, the message for you, the listener, is beautifully clear. It says that those who desire long life, beauty, happiness, strength, and noble forms should make offerings with precisely that kind of unattached mind.
Give freely, without strings attached.
Exactly. It affirms that the Buddha is considered the foremost recipient for offerings, yielding immense fruit. But the underlying principle applies broadly to all acts of genuine, selfless generosity, especially when directed towards those embodying virtue.
Which really brings us full circle, doesn't it? Back to intention, generosity, ethical conduct. They're not just abstract ideas in these texts, but presented as the very foundations for cultivating auspicious, joyful futures.
Absolutely. It's a very practical, cause and effect-based ethical framework.
Well, we've certainly journeyed through some incredible narratives from the Vimānavatthu today, and they vividly illustrate this intricate, sometimes really surprising connection between our actions and our future, at least within this worldview.
From a frog's momentary mental purity, just catapulting it to divinity.
Right. To Revati's tragic, inescapable fate born from cruelty and stinginess.
And then the profound transformation of Prince Sujata, finding refuge in timeless wisdom even when facing death.
These stories all highlight the immense and often very precise power of intentional action, of generosity, and of living ethically.
Yeah, this deep dive really reminds us that, according to these texts, every choice we make, every act of kindness or cruelty, whether it seems huge or totally mundane, contributes to the very fabric of our experience now and later.
It's clearly not just about the external show, the grand gesture, but the purity of heart and the clarity of intention behind even the smallest things we do or think.
That seems to be the recurring theme.
Well, as you go about your day, maybe just consider the everyday choices you make. Within this framework we've explored today, what kind of future, seen or unseen, are you building moment by moment with your present actions and your present intentions?